Through the years, we've noticed a vast change in the way food is produced, marketed, and consumed. In the early 20th century, many people had gardens and ate produce from their local farmers. Being physically active in conjunction with healthy eating, many were in shape and full of energy. Fast forward to now, the 21st century, much of the food is mass-produced, genetically modified, processed with chemicals and pesticides, and overall not healthy for the general public. Yet many people are still quick to pop some chips and Coke into their mouth. When indulging in such low nutritional value food, many are sitting on the couch watching their favorite shows on TV. Well, you know what they say, you are what you eat. And that law applies mentally and physically. We've become food and television zombies.
Food for thought. When you take time to consider what you eat and drink, you play an active role in saving your family's life by refusing to accept a slow death by food.
When we think of a food and television zombie, what do we think of? A couch potato? A slouch? A sluggard? A goof-off? We think of these things and much more. See, a food and television zombie is so engulfed in the world of food and TV that he might as well be the undead. Food and television zombie culture is very prevalent in American society today. People come straight home from work to watch TV and stuff their face full of food, and then they turn around and watch TV for the next few hours until they go to bed. Then they wake up and fix eggs, bacon, sausage, and pancakes for breakfast while watching their favorite morning shows before going to work. Turning around to repeat the same cycle all over again. Sounds like the life, don't it?
TV programs and commercials play a major role in the things that people do on a daily basis. When people watch TV, their minds process that information on a subconscious level. Subliminal messages prepare your mind for the very open messages. This process of mental programming makes you relaxed enough so that when a commercial openly promotes KFC over a home-cooked chicken meal, you just laugh and agree. Our willingness to believe and receive these open messages is what makes us food and television zombies.
I remember what it was like as a child coming home from school. The very first thing I did if I didn't have any homework was run to the family pantry, grab some Oreos, peanut butter cookies, chips, and Kool-Aid, and then I plop my behind on the couch. Many don't understand the impact such a lifestyle can have on young children. Child obesity, although I didn't suffer with it, is becoming a normal thing. Why? Because kids will rather be at home watching their favorite shows on TV or playing video games rather than to walk the dog or play frisbee at the park. Now, when I came home from school to watch TV, did I actually learn anything from the shows that I was watching? No, I didn't. Television programming is programming our young children to be lazy couch potatoes. Our children are becoming just as obese mentally as they are physically. You are what you eat, and that's why my children are going to be physically active and they're going to read many books.
Hi, I'm Dr. Knox. Did you know that more than 1/3 of US adults are obese? That's a high percentage. What if I told you that the next generation is going to top that number very quickly? Because of poor food choices, your children will be even more unhealthy than you are if some serious changes in their diet don't take place soon.
Statistics for obesity in America, CDC report. Percent of adults aged 20 years and over who are obese, 35.1%, 2011 to 2012. Statistics for overweight adults in America, CDC report. Percent of adults aged 20 years and over who are overweight, including obesity, 69.0%, 2011 to 2012. Statistics for overweight children and adolescents in America, CDC report. Percent of adolescents aged 12 to 19 years who are obese, 20.5%, 2011 to 2012. Statistics for overweight children and infants in America, CDC report. Percent of children aged 6 to 11 years who are obese, 17.7%, 2011 to 2012. Statistics for overweight children and infants in America, CDC report. Percent of children aged 2 to 5 years who are obese, 8.4%, 2011 to 2012.
Another food for thought moment. Would you willingly go and purchase a bottle of monosodium glutamate to sprinkle over your food?
America had a culinary history in physical health and wellness that was honestly much brighter than today's standards of food and physical health. Back then, meals were prepared from scratch, and many people well past their 60s were still energetic and moving around in full health. It was no big deal to see one or a few of your neighbors with a vegetable garden. It was no big deal to eat fruit as an afternoon snack when you got home from school. Foods weren't overly processed with chemicals and unpronounceable drugs and substances. Food was very basic and there was no strange catch to eating tasty foods. All of that changed when the 1900s came. Every decade, there was a new junk food item being added to society's menu of garbage to eat.
History of processed foods. Processed foods from the 1910s include Nathan's hot dogs, Aunt Jemima syrup, Hellmann's mayonnaise, Oreo cookies, Crisco, and marshmallow fluff. Processed foods from the 1920s include Baby Ruth candy bar, Wonder Bread, Yoo-Hoo beverage, Van Camp's canned pork and beans, Reese's peanut butter cups, Welch's grape jelly, Popsicles, Wheaties, Kool-Aid, Peter Pan peanut butter, and Velveeta cheese. Processed foods from the 1930s include Snickers bar, Three Musketeers, Spam, Kraft macaroni and cheese, and Ritz crackers. Processed foods from the 1940s include M&M's, Pillsbury cake mix, and Cheetos. Processed foods from the 1950s include Swanson TV dinners, Cheese Whiz, Tang, Sweet and Low, Diet Right, the first diet soft drink, and so on. What makes fast food important to us? The mere convenience of a product or service is what makes it important. Over time, people have been tricked into thinking that many things are important. This especially began to happen during the industrialization of the country. The bigger the cities became, the less space for growing food and raising animals, meaning people would have to go elsewhere for food. Certainly, they would also need jobs, especially after slavery ended and no one had that flow of resources as thick anymore. With jobs came less time that would have been used for cooking or something of this sort. This is when pre-cooked and fast food became important, because people believed that they needed it. With this kind of food being in high demand, franchises popped up all over the country. The use of artificial substances had become very popular in the food industry because the demand of their product would be very high. Animals then began being fed certain types of feed that would enhance egg and milk production and the overall size of the animal. This means more fast food for the consumer and more money for the seller.
The whole industrial food system really began with fast food. In the 1930s, a new form of restaurant arose, and it was called the drive-in. The McDonald brothers had a very successful drive-in, but they decided to cut costs and simplify. So they fired all their car hops, they got rid of most of the things on the menu, and they created a revolutionary idea about how to run a restaurant. And they basically brought the factory system into the back of the restaurant kitchen. They trained each worker to do just one specific thing, again and again and again. By having workers that only had to do one thing, they could pay them low wage, and it was very easy to find someone else to replace them. It was inexpensive, tasty food, and people enjoyed it. which turned McDonald's into a huge success. That mentality of uniform and conformity and cheapness applied on a large scale has many unintended consequences.
I got my 2 sacks of McGoodness right here. So what we're going to do, just going to give you an idea of how this food is breaking down in your body. I'm just going to put it in some jars to kind of show you how it breaks down on its own over time, over the next, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. So in here, we've got my favorite right there, the Big Mac. So we're going to put the Big Mac right here in jar number 1. Chicken McGrill. There you go. Boy, let me tell you something, the smell of this food, I just want to take a bite out of it already. One of the worst things on the whole menu, the filet o fish. Look at that thing. It still looks terrible. Going right in there. Next, quarter pounder. That actually looks like meat. There's the quarter pounder. Some fantastic fries. So we're just going to dump right in this jar, right there. In that last jar, we're going to get a hamburger from up the street, from a place where they actually make real hamburgers, where they take the patties and they press them with their own hands and put them on the grill. It's like real meat. And lastly, French fries from a regular restaurant. See what happens at the same time. 2 weeks, French fries from a regular restaurant. 2 weeks, French fries from a McDonald's restaurant. 2 weeks sweaty, moldy burger in there. That burger's all moldy. The filet of fish just starting to mold. That's some kind of cheeseburger. And the Big Mac, still nothing. Big Mac hasn't even started to mold yet. Big Mac still looks like we just bought that thing. Lettuce a little moldy. Chicken McGrill, definitely seen some better days. That thing is beat up. Filet of fish, look at that white fuzz on the top of it. The quarter pounder, that thing's got a rainforest going on inside there. This burger, same thing. Look, it's starting to get juicy on the bottom. The bun is just like coagulating into some kind of goo. Here's the regular French fries. Those things are black and crazy. Want to see what the McDonald's French fries look like? Check this out. That's right. Some kind of fluke of nature. That's right. This can't explain. But this is what you're eating every time you get these fries. Ooh, that's the Big Mac. That looks good, doesn't it? Look at this. Oh, the chicken McGrill looks fantastic. Oh, that's so yummy. Look at the filet of fish. That's very impressive. Quarter pounder, really coming to the end of the road. And are you ready for the French fries? You ready? That's right. Look at that, folks. Why are these not breaking down? That's a really good question. And you have to ask yourself, wow, what's that doing in my stomach then? Big Mac, 8 weeks. Chicken McGrill. I don't even know what that runny liquid goo is right there. Now we move on to the delicious filet of fish. What do we got? 8 weeks. Mossy goodness. Look at that fuzzy little sandwich. Here's the quarter pounder with cheese and the little sweat box that's happening there. Look at that. Looks like the ice age is set in on our quarter pounder with cheese. McDonald's French fries. It's now been 2 months and look what's happening here. That's right. Still nothing. "10 weeks on the Big Mac. Frosty goodness. Look at the chicken McGrill. 10 weeks. All the filet o fish. Oh, does it get any better than that? I don't even know what that fuzz on the top is. Week number 10, quarter pounder. Some kind of crazy little like science experiment happening there. Look at that. What is wrong with that? There's not even one little sporosaur on there. There's not nothing breaking down. Nothing. Looks like we bought them yesterday.
Those clips reveal some very important information as it relates to fast food restaurants and the origin of McDonald's. It was a profit-based food company that didn't really put the customer's well-being as its #1 priority. That's why poorly raised meat is laced with preservatives and chemicals. On top of that, when observing the French fries, they didn't decompose or grow any kind of mold after months of sitting there. So if nature isn't breaking down the fries, then what is your digestive system doing? Is the food going to break down in your system and become part of you? Or is it going to gum up your cells and arteries? Are they giving you food, or are they giving you imitation food? You know, something with the form of foodliness, but denying the ability to bring life and nutrition into your body? Yeah, that's something to think about next time you go to McDonald's with the intention of eating instead of just stopping in there to use the restroom on an out-of-town trip. My advice to people today would be to leave a lot of these restaurants alone, because eating out all the time is basically going to cut your life expectancy in half. On top of that, oftentimes in these restaurants, they're not really in the mind frame of really giving much of a crap about your health. Wait, actually they are. Did you know that people have found traces of fecal matter in their food? They clearly gave a crap about those customers. You have to keep in mind that many restaurants don't really care about the cleanliness of their products, especially if people don't make an active stand towards ensuring that their food is being prepared sanitarily. Many times before the food is even delivered to the restaurant to be prepared, you know, things like hot dogs, burger buns, or other types of bread, it's processed in very unsanitary factories where mice breed because of food droppings. Also, the machines aren't really cleaned all the time like you'd hope. So people are getting food poisoning because of trace amounts of really old food that wasn't cleaned off of the machine before the next batch of bread was baked. Have you ever looked at a package of something like Oreos and it said on the back of the label, "may contain nuts," almost as if they're unsure whether or not there are nuts in the cookies that clearly aren't listed in the ingredients list? Either they're in the cookies or they're not. I mean, what kind of incompetence are we dealing with? You don't bake a batch of cookies and not know what the heck is in it. How the heck does old peanut residue end up in a batch of Oreo cookies in which peanuts aren't listed as one of the ingredients? I'll tell you how. They use their food processing machinery to process more than just Oreos. And they don't always clean the machines in between usage. Or when they do clean the machines, they're not properly sanitized. Also, let's look at another side of negligent, trifling food making techniques that are observed, particularly in restaurants, but also in food processing plants. There are cases of human DNA being found by scientists in burger meat. Like, what kind of filthy foolishness is going on that human DNA is ending up in food? Well, there are accidents sometimes in these restaurants. Sometimes the most likely cause is hair, skin, or fingernail that was accidentally mixed in during the manufacturing process. That is just plain nasty. But sometimes human DNA isn't mixed into food accidentally. Sometimes people are trifling and will spit in the drink, do their hair over the waffles in a Waffle House.
Stomach turning video, 2 Waffle House employees were caught doing their hair in the kitchen as they prepared food.
Pee in a machine responsible for processing Kellogg's cereal dough.
A graphic video of a man urinating on a Kellogg's cereal conveyor belt in Memphis surfaced on the internet. The video is so disgusting that it can't be shown without major alterations. WMC Action News 5 found when the video was filmed and the specific cereal contaminated.
This video is so graphic. What it shows, so disgusting that we had to blur almost the entire screen. It shows a man peeing on the Kellogg's conveyor belt as food comes down the machine, as he records the entire filthy act. Consumers are disgusted by the act.
Or there will be bacteria from fecal matter found in the ice cubes of a KFC drink. Or there will be a chef that prepared curry after wiping his nasty behind with his bare hands for cultural reasons. Would you like some boo-boo containing hot chili cheese fries? Well, then go hit up a random restaurant. Who knows, you could get lucky. Anyway, last but not least, other things end up in restaurant or processed food that don't necessarily belong there. You know, things like rat hair, rat feces, rat pee, or just the entire rat itself. There are many horror stories about people who thought they were getting a Chicken McNugget meal, but actually messed around and ended up with a Chicken McMouse snack. Not to mention rumors of other horrible things that have ended up in people's food, like French flies, crispy moth, crunchy chicken heads complete with eyes, beak, and feathers, and much more. I'm not trying to scare people from eating out. Actually, yes I am. You're putting yourself in the line of fire for possibly receiving some potentially filthy garbage by going and eating out at these restaurants. You'd be better off buying the materials needed to make your own food, set aside a day for cooking, and if you just so happen to enjoy burgers, make a bunch of patties and freeze them, and get some bread at a local bakery. Now, you might say that you have absolutely no time whatsoever to cook your own food, to which my reply is okie dokie. Continue to put yourself and your family at the risk of eating contaminated, filthy, nasty food. I can't stop you from eating overly processed restaurant junk, but I can sure warn you. When eating out, you never know what you're gonna get.
You never know what you're gonna get.
No, 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 no.
If you take a peek at how people were living during the Bible days, the ancient economy was based off of agriculture. Growing things, making sure they were bearing fruit, lots of sheep and cattle, those were considered riches. Of course they had gold and silver, but amongst all of that they had good crops and cattle, which were also a part of the wealth they had. These days, money is more important to people. Companies like Monsanto created insecticides for plants making millions of dollars. This stuff is known to be extremely dangerous, especially for human consumption. That's the difference between people of ancient times and the nutritional societal norms of today. They weren't performing a series of mechanical and chemical operations to preserve or taint the food. They had baked goods, but it didn't require a lot of processing to make them. I'm sure they didn't like pests, but did they go to the extreme of making pesticides and chemicals knowing that they would also affect our health? No, and neither should we allow this into our bodies.
Excuse me, please. Thank you. Toast of pastry, cornstarch, soy lecithin, potassium bromate. Potassium bromate? This supermarket is trying to kill us! You! Potassium bromate, do you know what that is?
Are you okay, sir?
It is known to induce renal cell tumors, mesotheliomas of the peritoneum.
Can I call someone for you? Or?
Call someone. You know what you're putting into our bodies? Death! Delicious, strawberry-flavored death!
Okay, I'm calling security.
Yes!
American could care less what we put into this stuff called food. As long as it makes its way to the store shelves, most will simply pop open the can, tear open the box, or rip open the package and shove it into their faces. No questions asked. We even have packages of miscellaneous meat circulating out there that actually goes through the checkout line. Most of you can't even pronounce some of the ingredients for half the stuff you buy anyways. What the hell is it? Does anybody know? Does anybody care?
Another food for thought moment. Do you have a collection of hard to pronounce chemicals in your cabinet to add to your food as you prepare a meal for your family?
Many of the processed foods that came to exist in the 1900s are currently filled with all kinds of toxic chemical preservatives. Much of them are known to cause diverse diseases that a large population of Americans face. We are going to talk about monosodium glutamate along with several other common yet very dangerous food ingredients.
Number 1. Monosodium glutamate, the sodium salt of glutamate acid. Many say that monosodium glutamate, or MSG for short, isn't a real health concern and that people with paranoia are making a conspiracy out of nothing. Here's a quote from Wikipedia concerning the topic of glutamates. Since glutamates are important neurotransmitters in the human brain, playing a key role in learning and memory, ongoing neurological studies indicate a need for further research. Now, based off of that, MSG should not be distributed worldwide. If they aren't positive on the outcome of what it could cause concerning the health of our brains, it's not safe. MSG is a common ingredient that's added to many foods that are consumed by Americans every day. It's a flavor enhancer used to boost certain flavors and particularly salty foods. You can find it in Doritos, Chinese food, KFC, ramen noodles, and many other delicious foods. Despite the tastiness of MSG, most people don't realize that this food additive is quite hazardous to our health. Plenty of sources, including the FDA, says MSG can be responsible for headaches, obesity, disorientation, fatigue, flushing, heart palpitations, eye damage, chest pain, nausea, weakness, depression, and more. Here's a brief summary of 5 other hazardous chemicals contained within processed foods. Number 2. High fructose corn syrup, a sweetener commonly used for soft drinks, desserts, candy, bread, and much more. High fructose corn syrup is responsible for causing obesity and cancerous tumors in rats. The excess sugar can be linked to diabetes and obesity. And please note that cancer feeds off of carbohydrates and sugars. Not to mention the fact that high fructose corn syrup is made from genetically modified corn, which causes cancer. Number 3. Aspartame, an artificial sweetener used for most diet drinks and candies. It is another harmful replacement for people who want to enjoy their soft drinks but are concerned about their sugar intake from drinks with high fructose corn syrup. Some of the detrimental effects of aspartame include decreased vision, severe intolerance of noise, headaches, seizures, memory loss, both severe drowsiness and sleepiness, anxiety, personality changes, insomnia, phobias, palpitation, shortness of breath, high blood pressure, nausea, and much more. Number 4. Polysorbate 80, a chemical compound used in some ice cream and cosmetics. Studies show that consumption of polysorbate 80 can be linked to infertility and dizziness. Number 5. Food dye, the responsible substance for the unique colors of candy, some cookies, cakes, icings, and more. Studies show evidence that the consumption of food dyes can be linked to the development of cancers and hyperactivity in children. Number 6. Sodium benzoate, a chemical compound used to preserve food products such as soda and salad dressing. It's responsible for causing cancer and has the ability to damage DNA.
Those were 6 examples of common yet poisonous food ingredients that are consumed by Americans every day. I also find it interesting to note that 4 of them can be linked to cancer. It makes you question the integrity of the Food and Drug Administration and why they'd be so complicit with poisoning us for profit. Those were 6 out of thousands of ingredients with adverse health effects. Next time you purchase a snack or some junk food item from the store, look at the ingredients list for any unpronounceable weird ingredients, and then ask yourself this question. Would I buy some trimethylglycine to eat as a snack? No? Well then why are you content with eating that garbage in your food? It was already stated earlier in this documentary film that food and television zombie culture is very prevalent in American society today. People love television, and I'm not gonna knock anyone for enjoying TV. It's entertaining. Look, I used to spend a whole lot of time watching TV when I was younger. I loved my movies and my sitcoms and all that stuff just like all you do. But some people go overboard with it, just like they do with other things that should be done in moderation. Whether it be consuming food, playing too many video games, hanging out too much with friends, texting all day, etc. And just like all the things that I mentioned, people consume television like a drug. So much so that companies have found that they can make a killing by advertising TV ads or commercials. I find it kinda sad that people will pay for cable television thinking that they're gonna watch their favorite shows on TV, when really half of what they're paying for in reality is television commercials. You're really paying the cable company to sell you ads, most of these ads being food related. Uh-oh, did I just say food? Yeah folks, they're selling you video and images of people gorging down on cheeseburgers and pizza looking happy, and in turn all that does to you is initiates the feeling of imitation hunger. You know, the feeling where you say, man, I'm hungry, even though you just ate about an hour ago. Therefore debunking the concept of real hunger. You know, just call it what the heck it is. Your appetite for food and pizza was simply turned on by the cheesy thick slice of pizza or that fat double patty bacon cheeseburger that you just saw. And you're feeling greedy. Don't worry, we've all been there at some point in our life. They promote ads on cable television on a regular basis because they want you to spend your money on their restaurants, or at their malls, or on their gadgets, or their clothes, or their shoes, or their jewelry, or their makeup, or their candy, etc. You are what you eat, mentally and physically. So if you're mentally eating commercials that are telling you to be a consumer of junk food, then you're going to be a consumer of junk food. You aren't you when you're hungry. You ever see those Snickers bar commercials that portray someone playing an overbearing role as someone who isn't really themselves when they're hungry? Then they receive a Snickers bar and then they transform into who they're actually supposed to be. But let's be real here. They promote that stuff on TV because it's funny or whatever, but there's actually some truth to that statement, other than the fact that it doesn't apply to some overly processed chocolate bars with absolutely no nutritional value in them. See, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve ate plants and herbs, and they were very healthy. That's really what the human body was designed to eat. Vegetation and plants have life in them. And a diet composed of live plants, fruits, and herbs will better your life and put your cells on the path to full health, therefore transforming you into the real you, the version of yourself that cannot exist when you're living off of saturated fats and calories, which fuels cancer cells and causes other diseases. Anyway, back to the discussion on TV. There's an article on CNN.com that basically condemns television as being responsible for raising the risk of health problems and dying young. The artificial light on the television has been described to disrupt sleep patterns, and many argue that poor sleep can even undo some of the benefits of a healthy diet and exercise routine. Also, poor choices in food, basically high calorie and fat intake in conjunction with fusing your skin to the fabric of the couch while watching TV basically makes it so that you're literally sitting on junk food that you've stored in your body. It's no different than throwing clutter all over your house. It gets hard to move around with all that mess sitting there in the path or inside of your body. At least when you're athletic and consume junk food, you're able to burn a lot of those calories and junk out of your system. But sitting on the couch all day makes it so that you're collecting more calories than you're burning. Also, check this out. Our kids come home from school and watch TV, and you think that's perfectly fine. Yet your child is having a hard time in school and having a hard time using common sense. Maybe because of the fact that many of these ignorant TV shows are promoting foolishness and lawlessness for the eyes of your children to gaze at. Basically working together with MSG and other brain-altering chemicals to turn the minds of our kids into mush by the time they're teenagers. There are children who can barely read or construct a basic sentence, yet they know all of their favorite episodes of Dragon Ball Z. There are children out there that grow up to be teenagers and young adults that watch so much TV that they can't even separate reality from it.
You know, that are on my level of intellect, they understand what I'm saying, you know, and thank y'all for understanding. And you know, I'm going to attempt to go Super Saiyan on film, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. This is my first attempt. Now I'm believing, and I'm going to create that energy and channel through my mind. Now, I might not turn full Super Saiyan, I might turn full Super Saiyan, or you might just see a glimpse of it, of that power. But, you know, this is my first attempt. I'm gonna turn the music on. Super Saiyan 3 Goku theme. This is it. Alright. All right.
Your children alone should be enough motivation to put the TV remote down for a little while. If anything that I just described in this segment fits you, then lace that shoe up and wear it. And while you're lacing those shoes up, have it in your mind that you're going to stop being a television light absorbing furniture tumor. I mean, there are some people out there who will literally watch TV all day long if they could. And while watching TV isn't necessarily an evil thing, it can be very detrimental to your health and livelihood if that's all you got listed on your list of hobbies to do. Get it down in your head that you're going to start doing more productive things with your time, like exercising, gardening, bike riding, or even something like artistry or music or something. Just leave the television alone. Put it in storage for a while, or even sell it. Just do whatever is needed for you not to be consumed by TV all day. Believe it or not, a lot of the problems associated with the bad health that many Americans, African Americans in particular, have would be perfectly avoided if they ate according to biblical standards. The Bible tells people what foods to eat and what foods not to eat. Take pork for example. It causes high blood pressure, it backs up the digestive system, causes strokes, heart attacks, and many other enormous health complications.
Only on Fox, at this time of year, we hear how important hand washing is to prevent the spread of the cold and flu. Tonight, you'll learn how hand washing could prevent a scary brain condition. A Valley mother of 4 is told that she has a brain tumor, but when doctors go in to remove it, they find something else, something living inside her brain. Rosemary Alvarez savors every minute with her kids.
That was a good throw.
Playing ball and laughing. For this mom, each day with them is a gift after coming too close to death last August.
I thought I had the flu. I started feeling tired.
But within days, this soccer coach and PTA president knew it wasn't the flu.
I started feeling numbness in my left arm, blurred vision. I'm still smiling for my kids, but now I can't get out of bed.
2 trips to the ER solved nothing.
CAT scan came back normal, no problem.
But her husband George was scared.
She couldn't eat. She could barely walk to the bathroom. So I knew at that point, she was deteriorating really quick.
It all came to a head on the first day of school as their kids aged 9 through 17 headed back to the classroom. Their mom was in an ambulance headed to Barrow Neurological Hospital after an MRI explained those strange symptoms.
It came back. You have a brain tumor. At that exact moment where my heart fell just completely all the way down.
But the news would get worse. Neurosurgeon Dr. Peter Nakaji.
Once we saw the MRI, we realized this is not good. It's something down in her brainstem, which is as deep into the brain as you can be.
George broke the news to the kids.
It was a rough day because it was the first day of school, and they came home with all their stuff from school and all the stuff to sign, and look what I got from my teacher, and where's mom, and what's mom? Well, mom's in the hospital, and this is what happened.
As Rosemary waited for surgery, she worried.
Oh my God, we just canceled our insurance like 3 weeks ago, and now this happens, and mostly, how are we going to pay for this?
And she prayed.
Okay, God, if you're going to take me, but make sure my kids are good.
By the time the surgery got underway, all those PTA moms and neighbors, her kids, they were all praying too.
My girlfriend, she goes, everybody's calling and saying they're praying for you, they're praying for you. church, they're going to church and they're having the mass, pray for you. And power of prayer. That's what I told them. Power of prayer.
It worked. Dr. Nakaji was expecting to find a brain tumor. He showed me the video as he operated on Rosemary's brain, carefully working, knowing this is the most dangerous spot in the human body to work next to, the brainstem.
Here's the lump, and at this point it still looks like a brain tumor, and so we're just opening up into the inside.
And then the unexpected. No tumor, instead a worm. Watch as Dr. Nakaji grabs the worm and gently tugs it out of Rosemary's brain. It's still alive. You don't hear him on the tape, but Nakaji actually chuckles.
Which I'm sure is a very strange response for the people in the operating room, but because I was so pleased to know that it wasn't going to be something terrible.
This worm comes from eating undercooked pork, but more frighteningly, it can be spread by people who have the parasite in their bodies and don't wash their hands well after using the bathroom. That is the problem.
And it only takes one person who is spreading it constantly to get a lot of people exposed, and some of those people are going to go on to develop this problem.
It's impossible to pinpoint exactly when Rosemary contracted this brain worm.
Probably she was one of these very unfortunate people who had somebody handle food for her, that she ingested it, and it got to her brain.
What is normally a rare occurrence has become much more common. Dr. Nakaji has removed 5 of them in the past few months, and other doctors at Barrow, they're seeing more of them too.
I think it could be a fluke, but it does concern me that if we see more and more cases, as one person is infected and starts to spread these, it spreads it to other people who become infected, and then they spread it, so that more people are at least at risk.
Meantime, George and Rosemary are stunned, relieved, and a bit creeped out by it all.
It could have ate holes in her brain like a apple.
This whole part of my head, from here to here, it's numb. I just learned to live with it.
Rosemary shows off the scars.
I had to learn to walk, to balance.
But Rosemary says the most important thing she learned is how to really live.
I was so busy in life with everything else, and sometimes telling my kid, okay, I'll be right there, or hold on, and no, I can't right now, or no, I'm coming, I'll be right there. I'm not going to miss a moment that we tell me what's on your mind.
It strengthened us again because we almost lost everything. Everything fell apart. When she was gone, everything fell apart, and my kids saw how important their mother was in the house, because even they were, starting to take Mom for granted, and we pulled her out of the whole system, and everything just crumbled.
They hope everyone learns something from this story so no one else has to go through what Rosemary did.
And wash your hands.
Yeah, that's a pretty simple one. That is how you can prevent this. First of all, don't eat raw or undercooked pork. Wash your hands with soap and water after using the bathroom every time, and especially before handling food. And when you travel to developing countries, be careful to eat in sanitary restaurants.
It is one of the main building blocks of the diet of many African Americans, along with shrimp, catfish, crab, lobster, and much more. The Bible says that all these things are unclean to the body, and that you're defiling yourself by consuming them. Maybe when the Most High said that, he was alluding to the numerous health problems associated with the consumption of such meats.
The Bible has much to say about how we eat, and most importantly, what we eat. You see, mankind has always had a large appetite, which caused the Most High to lay down some rules. He declared some meats clean and unclean. They also had regulations on when they ate meat, which was mostly on the feast days for a celebration, so to speak. But however, in our present time, people tend to incorporate meat into their everyday meals. If it's not meat, it's milk or eggs, things that are associated with meat. Consuming meat on a daily basis is causing Americans and people worldwide to gain excess weight and lose energy. We also circumvent eating vegetables by eating things like potatoes, bread, and rice. Unfortunately, eating as much meat and carbs as we do minimize the energy we should have. Furthermore, we are also eating too much in this society. It was never intended for us to eat 3 to 4 times a day with occasional snacks in between. The Most High clearly does not like gluttony. You see, people never classify gluttony as a sin. In addition, they don't see anything wrong with eating unclean meats such as pork.
Here's the logic of a large population of Christians. Many will say that drinking wine is a sin, but that pork has been made into a clean item. So you're telling me that throughout the ages, the Most High God of heaven told his people that drinking wine was permissible, but condemned the act of eating pork and other unclean foods as an abomination. Then on the flip side, waited until about 2,000 years ago to say, oh wait, never mind people, I hate wine now, but pork chops are awesome. Just gorge yourselves until your nose bleeds and you die of a heart attack. You have Christians out there that will look at you like you're crazy and call you some type of wicked sinner for consuming wine, but then will turn around and eat pork, shrimp, catfish, lobster, crab, etc. It has been proven that certain wines are actually very good for your health, reducing high blood pressure and much more. But all of the animals that I just named are responsible for the fact that there are way too many people in the hospital that don't have to be. Yah isn't the author of confusion, so why would he unstably change his mind like a teenage girl and tell you that it's okay to eat foods that your body wasn't designed to eat? The fact of the matter is he wouldn't. Malachi chapter 3 verse 6 says, "For I am Yah, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed." Hebrews chapter 13 verses 8 through 9 says, Yahushua is the same yesterday and today and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace, not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied therein. I mean, the last scripture alone is enough to cause you to think. He said that he is the same yesterday, today, and forever, so don't be led away by false doctrines, because your heart isn't supposed to be established with meats. I mean, that along with many other scriptures in the Bible is enough to completely obliterate the doctrine of pray over anything you want to eat and then it's clean all of a sudden. Especially considering the fact that back then in the Old Testament that was not the case. One more thing I want to say real quick is that many Christians believe that suicide is a sin that will send you straight to hell. So if willfully destroying your own flesh, resulting in your own permanent end, is a sin warranting hellfire, then does it really matter how you do it? If you swallow a ton of pills, jump off a bridge, use a gun, stick your hand in an electric socket, or eat a ton of worm-infested heart attack-inducing pork, either way you killed yourself and you're going to hell. If you know what you're eating is killing you, then you as a conscious, alive human being have the responsibility to change your eating habits. And if you believe in divine judgment for the sin of suicide, then ultimately you've condemned your own self to the lake of fire by slowly and knowingly killing yourself by eating pork and other abominable foods that were clearly and strongly condemned by the Most High Yah of heaven.
Simple rule of modern eating: fatty foods in huge portions are bad for you. But you're about to enter a dietary twilight zone, a restaurant that makes the potentially harmful nature of its food a selling point. Its name, get this, the Heart Attack Grill. And they do bring a certain whimsical comedy to serving up giant versions of meals that have been American favorites for generations. But as Ryan Owen explains, beyond the comedy are some very real health concerns.
In a country where calories are posted on the menu and the White House has a vegetable garden, sometimes the reality looks more like this. This monument to greasy gluttony is called the Heart Attack Grill.
PBR.
It's a sort of hospital-themed Hooters located in Chandler, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix.
We have full sugar Mexican Coke. Get your arms in over here.
Every customer must wear a hospital gown.
I'm dying.
And they are waited on by scantily clad nurses. Still, it's what's on the menu that gets most of the attention. The single, double, triple, or quadruple bypass burger. Oh, and they do have fries called flatliner fries, fried in lard, and those are unlimited. To wash it all down, how about a butterfat shake? The restaurant has become a bit of a national sensation.
I'm up another few inches. Who
in no small part thanks to this very big man, BLAIR River. the so-called spokesmodel of the Heart Attack Grill, featured in a series of tongue-in-cheek commercials that have gone viral.
I'm at 570 pounds, 6'8", yeah, so.
We met Blair in January. Back then, he told us one of the perks of the job is eating free. Anyone who is over 350 pounds doesn't have to pay.
I'm big, you know what I mean? And so why not? But I don't eat here every day, so why not have fun with it and go with it as long as I can?
Sadly, we now know how long that was. Blair died last week at the age of 29. His family says the cause of death was pneumonia. The CDC says every year, 112,000 deaths can be linked to obesity. When your spokesperson drops dead at the age of 29, and he's morbidly obese by anybody's estimation, don't you have a problem?
Absolutely. Who wouldn't?
John Basso owns the Heart Attack Grill. As part of the act, he dresses up like a doctor.
Every single person cared about Blair. Had he have been thinner, he most probably would have survived that pneumonia. And that's a hard fact that I'm not here to deny.
There's an argument to be made that you used this guy during his life, and that now you are very morbidly using his death to continue to promote your restaurant.
I absolutely agree. And in a very sick way, his death has gotten the message out further.
So this man's death has not given you pause at all?
Zero pause.
For a man who is making an awful lot of money serving up artery-clogging burgers, Basso has a most unusual justification that America needs shock therapy to cure its obesity epidemic. He says he tried other messages. He once owned a chain of Jenny Craig weight loss centers and several personal training studios.
I hope that every single person out there comes in and buys a hamburger and a t-shirt from me. But you know what? I am saying loudly and as clearly as any business in America can, this is dangerous.
Oh, he's using it as a marketing tool. I mean, the word that just leaps to mind is hypocrisy.
You won't be surprised to hear real nutritionists take issue with this fake doctor and argue he's laughing all the way to the bank.
I think there are real ethical issues in what he's doing. If he believed that diet had nothing to do with health and was selling those foods, then at least you could think, well, okay, he's misinformed. But he knows what he's doing. He's deliberately trying to get people to eat more than they need.
Blair, you say, was also your friend in addition to working with you.
I loved working with him.
Do you have a conscience at all?
My conscience is simply this. What would Blair, hovering above me, want me to do right now? And Blair would say this, put back on the stethoscope. Let's keep being the doctor that everyone loves to hate, because that really gets the message out.
To keep delivering that message, a week after Blair's untimely death, the Heart Attack Grill has another spokesmodel.
Here you go.
Ernie Hart. Yes, that's his real last name. And yes, he is chowing down on a quadruple bypass.
Even though my cardiologist and my wife tell me not to come, and after surviving a coma and multiple heart surgeries, I still come. I enjoy the burgers.
Ernie was actually the spokesperson before Blair, but had to take a few months off after open heart surgery.
From baby, that's the taste that's worth dying for.
Now Blair is dead, and Ernie's back. The fact that you stuffed him full of burgers for free as often as he wanted, what share of the responsibility do you have for his death?
The equal share with anybody who provided junk food to anybody.
Aren't you glorifying obesity, which obviously kills?
Absolutely. I think it would be immoral to stop at this point.
Explain that to me.
We're past the point of no return at the Heart Attack Grill. We have blood on our hands at this point.
The doctor is taking his act on the road, opening a second restaurant in Dallas this summer to spread his morbid message to an even bigger audience. I'm Ryan Owens for Nightline in Chandler, Arizona.
People seem to view common addictions such as drinking and smoking more atrocious. But what about gluttony? Overeating is the same. It causes you to gain excess weight, which affects the way you operate. But don't get me wrong, both are condemned in the Bible. You just have to put into consideration that overeating can be an addiction and is a sin. You see, the Most High has blessed us with foods that are nutritious and appetizing. Do yourself a favor and eat them in appropriate quantities. Be not a man given into appetite.
So we have to say, why are we having all of these diseases at a higher rate than any other race in America? Why do we have the highest diabetes rate? Why is this? Why do we have the highest high blood pressure rate? Why are we going blind at the highest rate of any other race? What's going on here? You say, well, maybe it has something to do with junk food. Just maybe. We don't know for sure. I'm just taking you down this trail. Just say, you don't know, I don't know, so let's make an investigation. It took a lot of science to build some pyramids. It wasn't just art, it was science. So let's just be scientific like our ancestors. Say, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to cook an unborn chicken, and I'm going to eat a chicken fetus, what you call an egg. Then I'm going to get 4 slices of a pig's ass, what you call bacon. Now you're eating pig's ass and a dead chicken fetus for breakfast. But all this makes sense to you. All of this makes sense. Now you say, well, I gotta fry this stuff. I mean, really, you know, I gotta fry this bacon, I gotta fry these eggs, I gotta fry this stuff. So you're getting down to some basic little fundamental research. And you say, well, if I fry it and if I have some hash browns and the potatoes are made out of water, and I learned in school that water and oil don't mix. So what happens when you mix water with oil and put it in your body? The body says, well, I'm either going to digest the oil or I'm going to digest the water, but I'm not going to do both of them. So the body heats up, tries to break down this oil, which it cannot break down because the oil was made at a temperature of 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and your body temperature is only at 98.6, so your body can't break down the oil, so it just gums up your cells, make them stick together. You know, then you get a false sense of energy from eating this hash browns, the chicken, if you're eating chicken. I'm calling it chicken, but you like to call it an egg. Let's just be real. It's a dead fetus of an unborn chicken. So you're eating unborn children, using your body as a cemetery, wondering what's going on. So you say, well, maybe my ancestors ate this stuff. So you look around and you look at the pictures, say, no, I don't see any pictures with this. A glass of milk. Now we got to heat up the milk because you don't want bacteria in it. So you heat it up over 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it becomes white plastic pus. So you got a glass of pus, 4 slices of a pig ass, a dead chicken fetus, some potatoes mixed with oil, and a glass of orange juice, cooked orange juice, which turns the sugar into orange juice, white sugar, which causes diabetes. Now, you eat all of this stuff together, which doesn't go together, but we was shown a picture in school with all of these foods together, and they told it was the food chart. We saw the eggs with the milk and the orange juice. You remember that picture? Oh, yes. You know who promoted that picture? The dairy company. They said, let us put the picture in the school. So we know that this picture is framed in your mind. You have been nutritionally miseducated.
And another food for thought moment. Would you take a syringe and inject your steak with steroids just before you put it on the grill?
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Anyone that reads their Bible understands that the people of the Old Testament didn't eat meat every single day. The people would sacrifice a bull, lamb, goat, or ram. Then they would all enjoy the meal as a special feast for a special occasion, so to speak. There were no reserves of pre-butchered meat ready and convenient to prepare for dinner every single day. They lived off of a plant-based diet and included meat as a special treat. A significantly large percentage of people eat pork bacon or sausage for breakfast, then they'll eat a sub or meat sandwich for lunch, then they'll eat a steak or pork chop for dinner. This everyday meat consumerism mentality is one of the reasons why we're so sluggish and in such low health.
People spend a good portion of their day eating, and in modern times, a good percentage of the food that we eat isn't in its natural state. You may know that the food isn't healthy, but you continue to eat it. For example, people that eat pork usually knows that it causes high blood pressure and other health issues. They may also know the danger of ingesting pork worms, but they eat it anyway. What they don't realize is that this animal was never classified as a food in the first place. It is clearly stated in the Bible that swine is an abomination and is not to be eaten. There are many cultures that don't eat pork and even practice the dietary laws. And believe it or not, they're a lot healthier than the average American.
Heart disease, sugar diabetes, and obesity, and other food-related illnesses is a major problem in the U.S. And the Black community ranks high in this group. Due to lack of proper nutrition and just not having healthy food. Education is key to overcoming all health-related obstacles. Starting at an early age will set the stage for healthy eating habits. Without proper education, you can't expect children to know what is or isn't good for them.
Most people often say that the biblical law was done away with, and that gives us a free-for-all to eat whatever the heck we want, and that just isn't true. People often cite the claim that the Most High told Peter in the New Testament to rise, kill, and eat, after Peter had a vision of unclean food being presented to him on a mat. But if you look at the situation in the context of the story, Peter was preparing to meet with a Gentile Roman centurion, and the Most High was using a vision to tell Peter to call no man common or unclean. That wasn't a message from the Most High saying eat whatever you want. And if you want to believe that, then why do you get so offended at people eating dogs and cats in China? Why are you so grossed out at the thought of eating mice? Technically, you are what you eat. So mice being herbivores will be considered much more clean than the pig. See, now the pig will eat just about anything, including its own offspring, feces, other animals, decomposed vegetation, and other horrible things. We are supposed to stick to the dietary laws. And if we were to do that, our trips to the hospital will decrease 100-fold.
The third book of Moses, called Leviticus. Chapter 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof. As the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcasses shall ye not touch, they are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, and all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
Your final food for thought moment, would you buy a bottle of fluoride and add a few drops to your rainwater for you and your family to drink?
People have come to rely on convenience in their everyday lives. In this modern lifestyle of sitting back and not worrying about any type of food preparation, people put their trust in these restaurants not knowing of the trifling things that happen to their food. Why would you trust that this food is safe when those selling it are only concerned about the money and not your well-being?
A health alert now. Chipotle, the popular Mexican restaurant, taking drastic action, closing 43 restaurants in 2 states after 22 people fell ill, raising fears of an E. coli outbreak. Tonight, health officials are now...
People are only concerned about the convenience of processed food and not their well-being. That's why the food industry is such a booming business, because of the overwhelming desire of convenience that most Americans have, not knowing it's to their own destruction. This food is only being produced in such large quantities because of the fillers and artificial ingredients they contain. These ingredients are chemical concoctions used to make the food taste flavorful, keep it fresh, and increase the overall production size of the food being manufactured. In addition, these ingredients alter the way our brains function, disrupting the function of our taste buds and tricking us into thinking that this processed garbage tastes better. If your taste buds can't tell the difference between a grilled steak and Salisbury steak, then there's definitely something going on. You may not realize it, but every time you go to your microwave to heat up a TV dinner, you are precisely using yourself to define exactly what a food and television zombie is. What is the purpose of a TV dinner? To captivate the convenience-centered minds of lazy people who don't comprehend the importance of quality food. I don't care about my health. As long as I have something to eat while I feed my mind with subliminal garbage from the television, then I'm good. This kind of mindset is setting you up for an early death in your 40s, along with your loved ones. Now think about this. If you look at some of the side effects of certain ingredients of these processed foods, you will see how well this links into the television and human behavior. In the same manner that food in this day and age isn't healthy, TV programs may as well be called mental junk food. Look at some of the programs on TV nowadays, and you will begin to see how they affect the general population. Children who waste time watching TV shows that promote violence and other behaviors often mimic what they watch. Our behavior is greatly influenced by the things that we eat, along with the things that we see. So what do you think? Have you become a food and television zombie?
Many people realize all of the crazy things that are going on in the food industry today, and there has been a rise in the buying of organic products within supermarkets and health food stores. Many are starting to understand that you truly are what you eat, as in your body replaces old cells with new cells manufactured from whatever food you're consuming. If it's junk food, then your body's manufacturing low-quality junk cells. If it's healthy alkaline food, then your body is manufacturing healthy young cells that are full of life. The food that you eat is either strengthening disease or fighting it, and bettering your chances at a life full of energy and good health. So do yourself a favor and put down the television remote. Get something healthy to eat and go for a walk, jog, or bike ride. Don't become a food and television zombie.
Oh, the world is getting increasingly obese, so we need a new strategy. You might want to rethink that next visit to fast food restaurants. And hey, try getting outside a bit more and put the TV remote down for a while.
I feel the need to talk about the flaws in the industry, filthily producing food for people wanting instantly, heating up food in the microwave, everyday TV dinner, affinity, dizzily choosing willfully to eat death. Consumerism got the people high, it's like a drug that's giving people sick minds. You're spending money on McDonald's and bottles of soda popping and popping, a movie in and then flopping on top of the couch and then gobbling down the junk that you bought up inside the house and then sleeping on calories and then gaining a lot of weight. People don't know the way the food is made, the way that it is processed, the mechanical operation that they suppress, cause they don't want it out, their mice are getting up inside the food. The fact that mechanical parts are never clean the way they should, they put in pork and everything, defiling and profaning, tumor having, cattle pus inside the milk, illness containing and gaining a lot of weight from the steroids that they intake, cause they trying to make more money by selling bigger steaks. Wait, I really think our people should be eating better food and leave the junk food alone, cause it's killing off my people. The TV is full of evil, promoting food that is lethal, deceitful, dainties consuming with legal poison, producing production of chemicals, culinary genocide, dietary mortified, genetically modified, food and television zombies, food and television zombies.